And the only protection you have against deception is God's commandments. And that's what man don't want to obey. Therefore, you subject to the deception. Matter of fact, it's a guarantee. If you don't obey the Sabbath and the rest of the commandments, you've been deceived. And the only thing about that is you've been deceived by Satan the devil. That's the key. It ain't nobody else. It ain't nobody else. And you have upset the Lord so much that he said he's the one who sent you this strong delusion. Now that's sad. You done made the man that died for your sins this mad that he had to send strong delusion so you can be deceived. You know why? So you can be damned. That's what he said. So you ain't got to believe me. 2 Thessalonians 2. It'll tell you. I'm just quoting you without telling you. But the man gonna damn you because you don't believe. But you did it to yourself. He says, the true worshipers must worship me in the way of truth and righteousness. Spirit and truth. In other words, that's what he said more directly. Spirit and in truth. See, the world throw the truth out the window. At least I'm serving God type attitude. No. That's not good enough. If you really think about taking a dive into a lava lake for the rest of your existence, which is eternity, maybe you'll consider what you're doing. Because he requires everybody to make a change. I don't care who you are. Every last one of us got to make a change. And if you can't make that change, you ain't going to make it. But you need to know where you're going to end up. And I'm not here to tell you you're going to heaven regardless. That is not the case. Make no mistake, you're going to hell. That's Bible. I ain't here to tell you no lie. Everything ain't pretty. But yet still it's the gospel. So we thank the Lord for saving us from great deception. Right? The title of today's message is, we just call it simple, that the Lord asked, or the apostles asked. They wanted an answer to it. Right? And we're going to just run it down little by little and see what the scriptures say. Right? Because at the end of the day, by 2 or 3 witnesses is every fact established. So we might have to couple Luke 21 along with Mark the 13th chapter to go along with this Matthew 21. But the goal is to see what the scriptures say. Because there's a lot of teachings in regards to this topic. Right? But we're going to point out some things, and I'm just going to put some stuff on the table. Because I've been taught a certain way, in regards to the chapter, but during my research, in my study, I'll show you what I've come across. Right? So let me go here right quick to show you what thus says the Lord. 1 Thessalonians 5. Let's start at verse 18. Verse 21 is our concentration. So we'll start at verse 18. And if you new to this kind of a meaty lesson, but I'll try to simplify it as much as I can. Just stick with me. You're probably not going to understand it. Right? But it's a lot of stuff tied to this Matthew 24th chapter. Jesus and his people. A lot of times it's dealing with the end. We're just going to see. I'm just going to stop talking. We're going to get into this thing. Verse 18. 1 Thessalonians 5 and 18. Harper to the scripture.
In everything.
Huh?
In everything.
What you want me to do?
Give thanks.
Amen.
Thank
you, Lord. Go ahead.
For this is the will of God in Christ Jesus concerning you.
That's right. Look, you know what? The sad thing about this, we're the most ungrateful people on planet Earth. We moan and complain and whine. And this man done sit up. This is how you know you got a different spirit. The man done sit up and told you, and everything you do, give thanks. If you got a Nissan Altima and you wanted a Bentley, you say, thank you, Lord, for the Nissan Altima. Because you could have been on Tom and Jerry. That's your feet. And then if you ain't on your feet, you could have not had a foot. Huh? So you think you special. God owe me type attitude. Huh? He don't owe you nothing. He already gave you life. You don't deserve that because you ungrateful Or you unfruitful with what he's giving you. We always have the attitude that we better than who we are. That's just simply not the case. You deceiving yourself. Can't nobody tell me nothing. That's because you got a different spirit. The Lord tell you to be humble. If can't nobody tell you, that ain't from God. See, we don't know how to recognize the enemy because you never look in the mirror. We're the enemy. You understand me? We're the enemy. And the enemy of who? We the enemy of God. Because when you don't do what he say, you cross over from being a friend to a foe. So God is not with how we are now. He requiring everybody. He told you be perfect. And you sit up and let people tell you can't be perfect. Well, when I look at Abraham, said Abraham being perfect, he said, walk before me and be thou perfect. John the Baptist's parents, right? The apostles told the people, be perfect. Right? God gave you the law and stuff. He's talking about being perfect in your mind. He said King David was perfect toward him. Even though he messed up, his mind was right towards God. Right? So we have no excuse. Right? He said, my sheep hear my voice. Verse 17. I mean, wherever you left off there. 19. Yeah, that's what I meant. 79 looking like. Anyway, go ahead.
Quench not the spirit.
When I write my 7, sometimes they look like 9s. I'm just saying. Quench not the spirit. You know how you quench the spirit? If God gives you his Holy, you can grieve this Holy Spirit. Right? By partaking in things you shouldn't. Watching things you shouldn't. Listening to things you shouldn't. You suppressing it. You pushing it down. Right? Because God can't dwell with Satan inside of your body or your mind. It ain't no room for both. He don't share like that. On the Sabbath or on the Sabbath, and then the rest of the week you all, whatever it is, you done quenched it. That's it. He said daily bread, every day. Don't you eat every day? This food for your soul. Alright? You trying to live. You trying to live, y'all. Basically, we already did. We're trying to come up out the grave. Right? Go ahead. I'm going to quit because I just really wanted one verse. But some stuff you just can't let pass. But go ahead. 20.
Despise not prophesying.
Despise not prophesying. Come on.
Prove all things.
This is what I want. This is the concentration. So whatever doctrine you've been taught, whatever teaching you receive, prove it out. Test it for yourself. Even what I'm teaching, go behind. I don't care. Too many lies in the world in the name of the Lord. That's how we got to Sabbath instead of Sunday. I had to prove it out.
Yes, sir.
When I found out it was a lie, this is what I did. Go ahead.
Hold fast that which is good.
And let everything else go. When I found out Sunday worship was a lie, I changed. When I found out the Sabbath was the truth, I started keeping the Sabbath and I let that other stuff go. But it wasn't until we proved it. Right? We proved it. Because you know one thing about the Lord, he's confident in his word. He says, my sheep, he's confident in his people too. He says, my sheep gonna hear my voice. So no matter what a man is telling you, no matter what teaching you've been taught, if it's from the Lord, you're gonna search it out. You're gonna know, oh yeah, that's it. That's it, that's not. Hold fast to that which is good. Get rid of everything else. So once we come to the truth, that's what we stop doing. And that's the danger about just listening to your teacher, listening to YouTube, not reading it for yourself, not proving it out for yourself. Because we, no matter what, we all men, we make errors. So you got to prove it. And so you can grow, what we call growing grace. When you come to the truth, you like an infant, you on milk. But it should be a time where you graduate, just like babies, from milk to solid food. And that's what we need to press towards. Right? We've been in the truth a little while, some more than others, but it's the time when you get a growth spurt. Huh? Yeah. So that's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to concentrate on for the rest of our walk, proving things out, keeping what's good, and getting rid of what's bad. Israel don't do that. The flaw that I've seen in Israel, one of them is, whatever you've been taught, once you come into the truth, you hold on to it regardless if it's a lie or not. If you find out that it's been a lie, you still hold on to it. But that ain't what God told you to do. He told you to prove everything and hold fast only that which is good. It's like pulling the meat from the bone. Right? So that's what our focus is going to be on. Let's go Matthew 24. Alright, so we dealing with the end. Well, just let me do something right quick. I just want to show y'all where I'm coming from and why I started to go back on this subject. Alright, let's go to Luke 21. Matthew 24, that's what we're going to concentrate on. We're going to put a mark in Matthew 24 and Mark 13 and in Luke 21. Because they all dealing with the same conversation.
Mm-hmm.
The same time. I'm going to show you this we do with the Lord permit.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so Luke 21, which we're going to come back and read this again later on. But I want to start at verse 20 through 24. I want to show you where my mind went once I read this. Verse 20. Hearken to the scripture.
And when ye shall see Jerusalem,
Yes?
compassed with armies,
So we're going to pay attention to what we read. What we talking about? What city? Jerusalem. That's what we're dealing with, right?
mm-hmm.
So I'm here to tell you, you're not going to see Jerusalem compassed with armies. You don't even stay in Jerusalem. You don't even stay on that side of the continent. You gotta, that's why I say, pay attention to what we read. We're dealing with Jerusalem and it being encamped with armies. Go ahead and read.
21.
Yes, sir.
Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains.
Let them which are where?
Judea.
Samaria?
Judea.
Egypt?
Judea.
Australia?
No, sir.
America?
Not at all.
Listen to what the Lord is saying, because we got to be honest to the text. The text is instructing the people that's in Judea to flee where?
To the mountains.
When they see Jerusalem encamped with armies, right? Go ahead.
And let them which are in the midst of it depart out.
Okay, let them which are in the midst, that's the middle, right? Let them which are in the middle of where? America?
Jerusalem.
Huh? So what's the middle of America? What, Kansas? We don't know. I'm just saying it's close. Midwest, I got in the vicinity. Right? So when you in the midst of Judea, he said, what?
Depart out.
Get out of there. This is a warning from the Christ. Right? Go ahead.
And let not them that are in the countries enter thereinto.
Look.
Wow.
You in every other country but Jerusalem. At this time, it's not a place for you to go. This is a place for you to get out of. Right? Go ahead.
22.
Yes.
For these be the days of vengeance.
These be the days of vengeance.
That all things which were written may be fulfilled.
Fulfilled about what? What's the tenor of the conversation? Exactly. The end of Jerusalem, the destruction of Jerusalem. So this let you know it was prophesied about, the destruction of Jerusalem was prophesied about. The prophets wrote about it. Right? But we're going to come back over here.
23.
Yes.
But woe unto them that are with child.
Yes.
And to them that give suck in those days.
Yes, sir.
For there shall be great distress in the land.
Look, do you notice he keep pointing to those days?
In the land.
And he's talking about what? In the land. He said, woe to them that are with child and them that give suck. It's going to be great distress in the land and
wrath upon this people.
Wrath upon all people.
This people.
Go ahead and read.
And they shall fall by the edge of the sword.
Who?
And shall be led away captive into all nations.
So the inhabitants of Jerusalem is going to fall by the edge of the sword from Jerusalem. He had it swayed. So when he was telling you to flee, he was telling the ones in Jerusalem or Judea to flee. Huh? He haven't said anything about nowhere else. He stuck on Jerusalem. Go ahead.
And Jerusalem,
what about it?
Shall be trodden down of the Gentiles.
Shall be trodden down of the Gentiles, okay?
Until the times of the
time of the Gentiles. How long is that? So Jerusalem is going to be destroyed and trodden down of the Gentiles till the time of the Gentiles is fulfilled. Well, how can we find out what time that is? He got to know. He done told us Revelations 11 chapter. So let's just write this up. Jerusalem destroyed. Come on. Destroyed. Look, he told you the people, right? By the Gentiles. Then he told you the time until time of Gentiles be fulfilled. So I go is to find out what the time of the Gentiles is. Because Jerusalem is going to be destroyed until their time is over with.
Come on.
Huh? So let's go to Revelation 11 chapter. There's a lot of stuff that is connected with this. Right?
Yes, sir.
We're going to start at verse 2. Let's start at verse 1. Verse 2 is what we want. Let's start at verse 1. Hearken to the scripture.
And there was given me a reed like unto a rod.
Go ahead and read.
And the angel stood, saying,
What did he say?
Rise,
Mhm.
and measure the temple of God, and the altar, and them that worship therein.
Okay.
But the court which is without the temple leave out, and
Why?
measure it not.
Why not?
For it is given unto the Gentiles, and the holy city.
What's the holy city? Mecca? Huh? I just need some response.
Yes.
The holy city is what?
Jerusalem.
Jerusalem. Okay, so Jerusalem.
Shall they tread underfoot?
Hold on, this is what he said in Luke 24, 21 and
Yes,
24. Shall be trodden down by the Gentiles until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled.
Mm-hmm.
He said the holy city shall be tread underfoot, same thing, is trodden down by the Gentiles until when?
40 and 2 months.
That's the time of the 42 months.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. That's what it says.
So the time of the Gentiles is 42 months?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. $42 months, right? We just taking notes.
Mm-hmm.
Huh? What time period is 42 months? 3.5 years, right? So let's just ask a common sense question. Is Jerusalem trodden down by Gentiles for 3.5 literal years? Huh? Look, watch this next verse. We're going to get another time. This is during the same time. Go ahead.
3. And I will give power unto my 2 witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth.
How long is that?
42 months.
How long is 1,260 days? 42 months, ain't it? 42 months. So immediately, I knew there was a problem with the way I learned about this. Because I know 42 months, 3.5 years, 1,260 days, along with that being the time of the Gentiles, I also knew that it's the time of Jacob's trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Some parts of the Bible call this the Great Tribulation.
Mm-hmm.
Huh? It's a problem, is what I'm saying. Right? And the reason why he had to give power to his 2 witnesses for 42 months, this ain't no 2 literal people.
Mm-hmm.
When you study the scriptures, it's going to lead you to see that he's talking about both the houses of Israel, which Isaiah clearly tell you they are my witnesses.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And the reason why, because during the time of the Gentiles, is going. Matter of fact, go to Revelations 13 chapter. During the time of the Gentiles, there's going to be lies and blasphemies about God. And he is all about the truth. Matter of fact, his spirit is called a spirit of truth.
Yes.
So his witnesses got to spread the truth worldwide at the same time while the lies and blasphemies about God is going on. It ain't no literal 3.5 years either. It ain't no literal 3.5. It's a time frame.
Come on.
Huh? Because Jerusalem, we can see clear, Jerusalem is still destroyed by the Gentiles.
Mm-hmm.
Before I was born, it was tried. They still tried in the underfoot. Huh? So you got to ask yourself, is this a literal 3.5 years? Or is this a span of time? Because he give us the clues.
Mm-hmm.
He give us clues and landmarks.
Come on.
Alright, so we want to see Revelation 13 chapter. The reason why this period is pivotal for you who call yourself a saint. Alright, we'll start at verse 1. Because we're going to deal with the dynasty of the Gentiles and who their leader is. And this is going to prove to you why that God has to give power. When he say power, we're talking about his Holy Spirit, which is the Spirit of truth, so that he can offset all the lies that's going on in his name. Alright? verse 1. This is Revelation 13, verse 1. Hearken to the scripture.
And I stood upon the sands of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns,
right?
And upon his heads the name of blasphemy.
Right. So what he's going to describe to us is the Gentile dynasty in succession, all coming together as one, pretty much. Right. Go ahead and read. 2. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard. So beast is equated with a kingdom when we're dealing with prophecy, or a king, or a beast. He called him a beast. Go ahead.
And his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power, and his seat, and great authority.
All right, so you can go to Daniel the 7th chapter, and you can see that he was describing these beasts. The first one was the lion being Babylon. The second one is Medo-Persian, and the third one was the Greece kingdom, and the fourth one was the Roman kingdom, which is the one we're under right now. So what he's doing here is putting them all together. Right? Go ahead.
3. And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death.
Yes.
And his
dead when you die. You have to give his 2 witnesses power to prophesy in his name the truth. And he ain't talking about 2 literal people can't prophesy all over the world. He's talking about the 2 houses of Israel. I know people gonna disagree. That's on you. But I can understand this. Then that's why he spread his people all over the world. Huh? Makes sense. The whole world, because they're trying to recover the rest of the sons of Adam. Go ahead and read.
4. And they worshiped the dragon which gave power unto the beast.
See, that's the problem. You worshiping the dragon, well, that's Satan the devil which gave power to the beast. Luke the 4th chapter tell you he got the power of all the kingdoms of the world throughout the moments in history. So God is trying to recover and save people. Go ahead.
And they worship the beast.
Yes.
Saying, who is like unto the beast?
Yes.
Who is able to make war with him?
What happened?
And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemy.
See, this beast has a great mouth speaking blasphemies, lies against God, the true and living God. So what kind of God would just let this go on with nothing to combat this? Huh? Without a plan. The whole world is worshiping the beast. We need a plan, God. Save us. How? My 2 witnesses, I'm going to give them power and spread out them suckers all over the world. You know what? I'm going to put my spirit in them. And they going to prophesy the truth to combat what this beast is doing all across the world. Right? You are part of it right now. You just couldn't recognize it. Israel is the only people really that's telling people, keep the Sabbath day, dietary law, the God of Israel is the God of the world. You don't hear that. Mainstream Christianity is going to tell you you can do whatever you want, eat whatever you want, worship on whatever day you want. Huh? These are lies and blasphemies against God. You don't have to worry about the Sabbath. Every day is the Sabbath. Jesus' birthday, December 25th. The beast has given you this doctrine and this understanding. The beast has given you an image. Watch this. Jesus. What popped in your mind? Fabio, right? White Jesus. That's an image you got from the beast. Huh? Matter of fact, before the kingdom, the beast even painted the picture. Huh? It came from a Roman emperor. Caesar Borgia, they gave you that image. Huh? So the doctrine of the beast is going worldwide. And they're making converts all over the world. Huh? Inquisition. They was killing people for believing in the true and living God and keeping his commandments. And having it's persecution. So persecution is a part of living godly. Because the truth is going to come with punishment. Because the beast, they own all the resources, they own the world system, they got control. So you going against the beast. And when that happens, persecution and punishment, trouble, tribulation, and anguish, travail is coming to you, Jacob. Because you the only one out here telling people, you my witnesses. They got another, you know Paul talk about another Jesus? What do you think he's talking about? We don't preach that Jesus though. We preach the one that say remember the Sabbath and keep it holy. Huh? We want to say love your neighbor as yourself and your God the same way. See, Christians, they mean, they lie, they steal, they kill. Huh? They the world. You know why? Because they've been taught by the world. Right? That's the only reason they like that. We was the same way. See, but God sent the truth to recover. Hallelujah. Right? So we part of it. You don't even know it. Go ahead and read.
And power was given unto him to continue.
How long?
42 months.
See, this is the same time with the Gentiles, 42 months. The Gentiles set up their system, they're going to give you religion. Right? To go along with the monetary system, the educational system, right? The religious system come with it. But they're not going to teach you about the true and living God. That's going to hit their pockets. It's the same 42-month period. Ain't another 42 months after this. Go ahead.
6. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God.
Now you see the problem. This is serious. Because a lot of people done died and went to hell because of this. It's that serious. Go ahead.
To blaspheme his name.
To blaspheme his name.
And his tabernacle.
And his tabernacle. The temple. Go ahead and read.
And them that dwell in heaven.
Yes.
And it was given unto him to make war with the saints.
Look, that's the key. What you call yourself? A saint. War has already been made. You was born into this war. I know you think you ain't fighting. You fighting for your life. You was born into this. You was born into deception, into lies, into the beast, speaking great things and blasphemies against God and giving it to you and feeding you with it. You was born into that. So now what you try to do is find out how to recover yourself from the beast. That's why God sent his witnesses. 2 men can't go all across the world. The whole world is in the same condition. How are we going to have 2 literal witnesses? He's talking about the 2 houses. Go ahead.
And to overcome them.
And to what?
Overcome them.
See, this is the key. Many saints done died. Go ahead.
And power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations.
So he got the power. Right? So when the Lord tell you it's a spiritual war, you fighting against a spiritual warfare in high places, this is what he's talking about. The governments and the principalities of the world which blaspheme his name. They feed you, they teach you, they educate your children, they give you jobs. Right? We in the system, which is known as the beast. It's a worldwide system. One of the main tools is commerce and traffic. Right? But it's war. Go ahead.
8. And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him.
See? And that's the number 1 command. Idolatry. God is going to destroy you for the idolatry. So it makes sense for him to send out his witnesses. That's why he say, my sheep going to hear my voice. Because there's going to be somebody teaching lies in my name, but my sheep going to hear my voice. You're going to know it. And he gave you another example. The way to destruction is broad. Whichever way you see the majority, most, almost all, the crowd, you probably need to turn from that. I just did common sense stuff. I said, okay, if that's the truth. Christianity, 2.2 billion people. Islam, 2.2 billion people. What's the other one? Judaism, 2.2. I don't need to follow down one of them. Matter of fact, I need to come out of Christianity. Because I know it's a lie. It's a lie. It's one of the biggest 3 religions. That's the broad. Is that not the broad way? Huh? Gotta come out. Come out of my people. What verse?
Middle of 8.
Finish 8 and we'll escape.
Whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world.
That's right. So, what we got now is 42 months. This is where my mind went. Right? The war is with you. So it's a problem. It's a problem. The saints don't know what time we in. Alright, so let's back up. One more place before I go to, matter of fact, I'll say that. Let's go ahead and get to Matthew 24. Well, this is what started me to look and to see this something ain't right. Everything ain't quite lining up. We're gonna, like I said, put your mark in Matthew 24, Mark 13, and Luke 21. If I talk less, hopefully we'll get out of these chapters. If y'all just do like this, then we'll go to the next verse. Alright? We'll go. Matthew 24, verse 1. Hearken to the scripture.
And Jesus went out and departed from the temple, and his disciples came to him for to show him the building of the temple.
So look what we're talking about. We're dealing with the temple, right? They in Jerusalem, or Judea, whatever you want to call it. So his disciples, they're amazed at the temple. They want to show it off. They come into Christ to show him the buildings of it. And look what he's going to say.
2. And Jesus said unto them, see ye not all these things?
He said, do you see all these things? Don't you see all these things? What happened?
Verily I say unto you,
truly I say unto you,
there shall not be left here one stone upon another.
He said, there shall not be left here
one stone upon another.
Go ahead.
That shall not be thrown down.
That shall not be thrown down. Come on.
And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying,
what they say?
Tell us, when shall these things be?
Right.
And what shall be the sign of thy coming?
When shall what things be? That's where we got the title from. When shall these things be? This is the first question. Huh? The first question. When shall these things be? What you mean? Somebody say something, I ain't going to the next one. Because that's the first question they asked. But what was he talking to them about? The destruction of the temple and the city, right? So they asked him, when shall these things be? Right? You know, they'll jump off and start explaining to you about 70 AD, but nah, we want to know some scriptures when Jesus started to answer their first question in this chapter. Now remember, the apostles, they his students. Mm-hmm. So if it's imperative for him to teach them. Because a lot of this stuff is going to deal with their generation. So they want to know, you're talking about this temple going to be destroyed. Mm-hmm. When is this going to happen? All right, because that's their power. That's their whole world. That's how they serve God. The temple. When shall these things be? Go ahead.
And what shall be the sign of thy coming?
And
of the end of the world.
That's what they want to know. Now, the reason why we're focusing on the first question, it's so important. Let's go over to Luke 21 right quick. This question is so important. This is basically the only question that Luke recorded. Let's show you it's the same conversation. Verse 5. Talking to the scripture.
And that some spake of the temple.
Some spake of the what?
The temple.
Okay.
How it was adorned.
How it was adorned. Because they remember that's what they were doing in Matthew 24. Showing them the buildings of the temple and how lovely it was. Alright, come on.
With goodly stones and gifts.
Alright.
He said, as for these things which ye behold.
So as for these things which you see, behold, mean to see or look upon. Right? So what are they looking at? The temple, right? Go ahead.
The days will come.
Look, and he said, as for these things which you see, the days will come, what?
In the which there shall not be left one stone upon another.
Yes.
That shall not be thrown down. And they asked him, saying, Master, but when shall these things be? And what sign will there be with these things shall come to pass?
Look, did you see the difference in the question? This is only one question. In Matthew 24 chapter, they say it's two questions at least, or maybe three. But the first question is so important that that's the only one Luke is focusing on. Huh? When shall these things be? Let's go to Mark, see how he recorded it. Mark the 13th chapter. So if you say this ain't the same time, you got to be doing some heavy denial. This is the same conversation. Mark 13, verse 1. Mark 13. Verse 1. Hearken to the scripture.
And as he went out of the temple, one of his disciples said unto him, Master, see what manner of stones and what buildings are here? And Jesus answering said unto him, Seest thou these great buildings? There shall not be left one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down.
Yes.
And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives over against the temple, Peter and James and John and Andrew asked him privately, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what
things be? The destruction of the temple and the city. But he's just focusing on the temple right now. But go ahead.
And what shall be the sign when all these things shall be fulfilled?
So the what shall be the sign, that's tied into the temple, the question of the temple. Not the question in Matthew about the end of the world. They want to know what sign. How are we going to know that this is about to come to pass? What? The destruction of the temple in the city. We need to know. This is important because we live here. Right? So, what did he say?
And Jesus asked,
hold on, read verse 4 again.
Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign when all these things shall be fulfilled?
So you see, he recorded the first question as well. This is how important the first question is. We can't skip to the end without answering this first question. Don't let nobody skip to the end. We need scriptures. When these things started to happen, that's what they want to know. So Jesus is a teacher, quite naturally, he's going to start to explain to them about this. All right? He ain't going to just jump to the future, something beyond them when they right there in the flesh, and they want to know, what about us? What do that at the end got to do with us? Because remember, he wouldn't even tell Daniel when he prophesied to him about end time. He said, shut the book, Daniel, this is for the time of the end. So basically tell you what you need to know when you need to know it. Right? When the apostles in Acts, they said that they wanted to know, have you come to rebuild Jerusalem at the time? He said, you don't need to know, that's not for you. Right? So how are you going to do that to the apostles right here? Skip what they talking about, we're going to go straight to the end days. It didn't happen like that. Right? So let's go back to Matthew. So he started running it down to him. He started running it down to him. He gave them the signs. He gave them a sign when the destruction is going to happen. Come on. So we need to find out what scripture when did he start to answer the question? Because you know how we've been taught, most of us anyway. As soon as you skip down to verse 4, you start dealing with our time. That's the way that we've been taught. They say, let no man deceive you, blah, 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 right? So that means, if you receive it like that, when did he ever answer the first question about the destruction of Jerusalem and the temple being destroyed? You gotta think. We ain't put on our thinking. He started in verse 4. That's when he started to answer their very first question. He didn't skip question 1 and go to question 3 or 2. However, some people call it 2 questions, some call it 3. However you want to look at it. You can call it 4 or 5. But we're going to deal with the first one first. So what did he say? Go ahead.
4. And Jesus answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many.
See, when we see this in our time too, but he's talking to them in regards to their time. In Jerusalem, it was an uproar. It was a whole lot of false Christs. It was a whole lot of false messiahs. And he was telling them, don't believe them. They're going to come, their whole message is to deceive you. So this is where he started to answer the first question. Right? Go ahead and read. 6. And ye shall hear wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled. See, don't worry about it. This happened. All the way up until the destruction of Jerusalem in 70 AD, it was wars and revolts between the Jews and the Romans. In 66 AD, it really escalated and got bad. Because all of that time, the Romans is trying to get the Jews to leave their practices and start dealing in paganism. And the Jews rose up. So it's a constant fights, constant wars, constant rumors about wars, right? Go ahead. He said, but don't be troubled. Come on.
For all these things must come to pass.
It's got to happen.
But the end is not yet.
You see there? And that's where we go left. The end is not, the end of what? The end of the world. That's how they taught us. He's not talking about the end of the world. He hasn't even answered the first question. How can he skip to the end of the world? Matter of fact, we haven't even got to the destruction of Jerusalem. Come on. 7. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in divers places. That's right. He said there's going to be famines and earthquakes in divers places, right? Go ahead.
All these are the beginning of sorrows.
All these are the beginning. Go ahead.
Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake.
That's right. So let's go back to Luke and see if we can find the same thing. He said, they're going to deliver you up. You're going to be afflicted. They're going to kill you. You shall be hated for my name's sake. Who is he talking to when he's saying this? The apostles. The apostles are going to be killed for his name's sake. They was going to be persecuted. They is going to be afflicted. And we're going to see why. Luke 21. Let's see if it's saying the same thing. Where we leave off at it. And let's pick it up at verse 8. Go ahead.
And he said, take heed that ye be not deceived.
But he said, when shall these things come to pass? Right? He said, take heed that you don't be deceived.
For many shall come in my name,
saying what?
I am Christ.
And
the time draweth near. Go ye not therefore after them.
Don't follow them. Go ahead.
But when ye shall hear of wars and commotions, be not terrified.
Why?
For these things must first come to pass. But the end is not by and by.
So is this the same conversation? The same thing, right? Go ahead.
10. Then said he unto them, nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And great earthquakes shall be in divers places, and famines and pestilences, and fearful signs, and great signs shall there be from heaven.
And what else?
But before all these, they shall lay their hands on you,
and
persecute you.
For what?
Deliver you up to the synagogues, and into prisons, being brought before kings and rulers for my name's sake.
You can find a lot of these acts that we read about in verse 12 in the book of Acts. The apostles were beaten, thrown in prison, had to come before kings and magistrates. Why? All for the name of Christ. Right? The truth hadn't been, it was their job to get the truth out. Right? They was his witness. Back up to let's go to Mark 13. Verse 5. It's all the same account. You just gotta read it. Go ahead.
And Jesus answering them began to say, but the end shall not be yet.
That's right. It's gotta happen. But the end is not yet. Go ahead.
For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom.
Yes.
And there shall be earthquakes in divers places, and there shall be famines and troubles. These are the beginning of sorrows.
These are the beginning of sorrows or troubles. Go ahead.
But take heed to yourselves, for they shall deliver you up to councils, and into synagogues ye shall be beaten.
That's right. Like Paul said, I done been beat 3 times with 39 stripes except once for preaching the gospel. Go ahead.
And ye shall be brought before rulers.
And some of the rest of the apostles. But not for their own, for his name's sake. Go ahead.
For a testimony against them.
That's right, that's why. Go ahead.
And the gospel must first be published among all nations.
Oh, the gospel shall be published among all nations. See, Brother Al, this is talking about the end. We got you. We got you, Brother Al. It's talking about the end. The gospel got to go forth unto all nations. And then shall the end of the world come. Let's back up to Matthew and see if he said the same thing. Maybe I can get off. So Christ was explaining to them about all of those offenses, troubles, and sorrows. Right? And look what he said. Pick me up or we leave off. Verse 12. Go ahead.
And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved.
So they have to go through all of these things and overcome and outlast. And what else?
And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached unto all the world for a witness unto all nations. And then shall the end come.
Man, so the gospel has to go forth into all nations for a witness, and then shall the end come. Right? He said, this gospel of the kingdom. Because remember, he told you, false prophets going to rise, false Christ. Right? So we got to teach the true gospel. We got to go forth into all nations, and then the end is going to come. He's stalling. He's stalling, y'all. He ain't got it. Right? So he said, then the end gonna come, right? So let's see if this happened already. Let's go a few places. Pick me up at Romans 1, verse 8. Because we still haven't made it to the end of Jerusalem, but we've already jumped ship to the end of the world by the way some people teach it. Skipping steps. That's my point. We haven't even answered the first question. How are we going to answer the second and third one? What I tell you?
Romans 1.
Romans 1. Verse 1. Verse 8. Go ahead.
First, I thank my God through Jesus Christ for you all.
For what?
That your faith is spoken of throughout the whole world.
That your faith is spoken of throughout all the world. That means it done went forth. Throughout all the world. It's gone forth. Well, that ain't really good enough. Okay, let's go look at a couple more places. Romans 10 and 18. Let me see what that says. Romans 10 and 18. We'll jump at verse 16. Go ahead.
But they have not all obeyed the gospel.
Yeah.
For Isaiah said,
what did he say?
Lord, who hath believed our report?
Right, he said they ain't all obeyed the gospel, but Isaiah like, who hath believed our report? Go ahead.
So then faith cometh by hearing.
Faith in Christ come by hearing, right? And by hearing what?
The word of God.
Go ahead.
But I say,
what?
Have they not heard?
Have they not heard? Go ahead.
Yes, verily.
True. Go ahead. What?
Their sound went into all the earth.
What?
Their sound went into all the earth, and their words unto the ends of the world.
Wow.
Been done. Let's go to Acts 2. Let's go to Acts 2. Verse 1, and we're going to skip. Go ahead.
And when the day of Pentecost was fully come, they were all with one accord in one place.
That's right. One accord, one place. What happened?
And suddenly there came a sound from heaven as a rushing mighty wind.
Right on.
And it fulfilled all the house where they were sitting.
It did.
Keep going.
Yes.
And there appeared unto them cloven tongues like as of fire. And it set upon each of them.
So you know why it has to do this? God is the interpreter. The gospel that he gave Peter and the rest of the apostles had to go forth. Right? On the day of Pentecost, the Jews from all over the world come. And they all got different languages. Well, how they going to understand? Lest there be an interpreter. So God is interpreting his word. Why? Because this gospel of the kingdom, which I gave to the apostles, had to go forth into all the world. Right? Drop down. Let's see to verse 8. Go ahead.
And how hear we every man in our own tongue, wherein we were born,
right?
Parthians, and Medes, and Elamites, and the dwellers in Mesopotamia, in Judea, and Cappadocia, and Pontus and Asia, Pergamos and Pamphylia, in Egypt, and in the parts of Libya about Cyrene, and strangers of Rome, and Jews and proselytes.
Who else? From where? Jews out of every nation under heaven. Let's go to Colossians 1. Colossians 1. Pick me up at verse 2. Go ahead.
To the saints and faithful brethren in Christ, which are at Colossus, grace be unto you, and peace from God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ.
That's right. So we talk to the saints, right? The saints are the ones who keep the commandments of God and have faith in Jesus, right?
Yes, sir.
So let's drop down a bit to verse 4. Go ahead.
Since we heard of your faith in Christ Jesus, and of the love which ye shall have to all the saints, for the hope which is left before already in the word of the truth of the gospel. Go ahead. Which is come unto you.
Which is come unto you.
As it is.
As it is where at?
In all the world.
Wait a minute. The gospel is where at?
In all the world.
See, they already did the work. Us in this last day, we just continue in the mission. The gospel is already been in every corner of the earth. It's a book everywhere. They preach and teach this, talk this thing. And he's witnessing. He's saying, it's come unto you at Colossus, right? And it's in all the world. Go ahead.
And bringing forth fruit, as it doth also in you, since the day ye heard of it, and knew the grace of God in truth.
That's right, verse 23. Go ahead and read.
If ye continue in the faith, grounded and settled.
So the faith, that means you have to hear about something, right? Or be taught in order to believe, right? The faith, because when we were in Rome, he said, faith come by hearing and hearing the word of God. So if you continue in the faith, right, grounded and settled, so you've been taught. Go ahead.
And be not moved away from the hope of the gospel.
Be not moved away by the hope of the gospel. Why would he say that? Because it's false Christ and false gospel is going to arise. It's blasphemies and lies against God. Right, go ahead and read it.
Which ye have heard.
Which ye have heard.
And which was preached to every creature which is under heaven.
Wow. He said you have heard, and which was preached, not is preached, which was preached into every creature under heaven. Go ahead.
Whereof I, Paul, am made a minister.
He said, well, and I'm a servant for this gospel. So I know. It's going out throughout all the world. You know, he wrote this book between AD 58 and AD 62. That's key. Because the end hasn't come yet. Right. When we go back to Matthew 24. It couldn't, because the gospel had to go forth into all the world. Now you see the apostle said, it's been everywhere. Come on. It's been preached to every creature under heaven. So let's go back to Matthew 24. In verse 6 says, this gospel has come unto you as it is in all the world. So pick me back up at 14. See, we ain't starting nothing new. We just continue in the word. Matter of fact, hold on. Give me Matthew 28. Verse 18. Go ahead.
Verse 18?
Yeah, 18, 19, and 20. Go ahead.
And Jesus came and spake unto them, saying,
what did he say?
All power is given unto me in heaven and in earth. Go ye therefore and teach all nations.
Do what?
Teach all nations.
What you want me to teach?
Baptizing them in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Ghost. Teaching them to observe all things whatsoever I have commanded you. And lo, I am with you always.
How long?
Even unto the end of the world.
He sent his apostles out to teach the gospel and spread the message. The gospel of the kingdom. Alright? And he told them, go and teach all nations. And they did. You think they ain't do it? But in the doing so, if you go in the book, you can see they was being persecuted, beaten, thrown in prison, right, so forth and so on. Right, they had to do that. But now let's back up to verse 14 again. Matthew 24 and 14. Matthew 24 and 14. Come on. Matthew 24. Hearken to the scripture.
And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations.
So is that what Christ didn't tell them to do? Isn't that what Christ told them to do?
Yes, sir.
Isn't that what we witnessed him saying?
Yes, sir.
It's been preached to you and every creature under heaven.
Yes, sir.
It's been done. Go ahead.
And then shall the end come.
The end of what though? We still on the first question. We haven't made it past the first question yet. And the first question was dealing with the destruction of the temple and the city. They tied together. Right? This ain't got nothing to do with the end time yet. We haven't even made it that far. Huh? This is talking about the end of Jerusalem. It's the end of their world, the apostles' world. Jerusalem and Judea and all of them, that's their world, their whole world. So they haven't experienced the end of their world yet. Go ahead.
15. When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation.
Got you, Brother Al. You hit. When I see the abomination of desolation, what?
Spoken of by Daniel the prophet.
Yes.
Stand in the holy place. Whoso read it, let him understand.
Now, why would he talk to us about it standing in the holy place? Because the holy place hadn't been destroyed. And this is the sign that he's going to give them. Because remember, the sign, I told you the sign was tied to the first question. Because they asked, when shall these things be, and what shall be the sign of thy coming? The sign right here is the abomination of desolation. We're going to show you. He said, when you shall therefore see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet, when you see it, stand in a holy place, whoso read it, let him understand. So you need to understand what Daniel wrote about the abomination of desolation. Alright? Well, let's see what the next verse says. So once you see that, that's the sign, right? Right or wrong?
Right.
So then what?
Then let them which,
if you pay attention when we was being taught this, it said, let them which be in Judea flee to the mountain, but I say unto you, wherever you at, flee. You ain't ever heard that? That's not what the scripture says. It said, I say unto you, wherever you at, flee. I stay in Texas. How am I gonna get to the mountain? I gotta go through about 8 states. Then I'm gonna hit water. Where am I supposed to flee to? I mean, you know what? Every fact is established on a map, 2 or more witnesses. I need another witness. I need one of the prophets to tell me to flee. If one of the prophets don't tell me to flee, I ain't going nowhere. Because this scripture say, he that be in Judea, I don't stay in Judea. He didn't even say, it's so specific, he didn't even say Samaria. He didn't even say Galilee or Nazareth. Why would he say Judea? Because that's where the temple is. And the temple is coming down. And the city is going to be destroyed. So if you're in the midst, once you see that sign, you need to get up out of there. That's the question the apostles were asking. Go ahead.
17. Let him which is on the housetop not come down to take anything out of his house.
See, you know why this was confusing to us when you heard? Because it don't apply to you. That's why it was confusing. It don't have nothing to do with you. So you mean to tell me? Because we're trying to reason. So if I'm at work, I gotta leave my family just free, get my baby. I just need to tell them we don't have a meeting place. We trying to figure it out, and it's confusing because it don't apply to you. But this makes perfect sense to them in Judea. Once they on the mount, on the top of the house, and they see that abomination encircling Jerusalem, they know whatever's in the house, I don't need to go down there trying to get no possessions. Time is of the essence. I need to get out of here. Why? Because the destruction. Because this is the end, right? The end of what? This is the end of Jerusalem. Does this make sense? I'm forcing it.
Come on.
Am I forcing it? trying to tell you. A force is me trying to flee. Where am I go? You can have however much money you want. When you get to that border, how you gonna make it? If I go from Texas to Florida, what's the next step? It's water. I can't swim that far. Huh? This ain't got nothing to do with us. That's my whole point. We haven't even made it to the end of Jerusalem. So once you apply a prophecy that's for Israel to the whole world, that's how you mess it up. This is strictly for Israel. This is strictly for them in that land. This don't have nothing to do with us yet. Right? It's strictly dealing with them and their world being destroyed. Right?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
18. Neither let him which is in the field return back to take his clothes.
So if you're already outside the city, ain't no need you going back inside the city because destruction is coming to the city. You already got a head start. You already out. Don't go back in there. Destruction is coming. Right? Don't go back in there trying to get nothing. Be like, I left that million. You better leave it. Go ahead.
19. And woe to them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days.
Look, those days. Woe to them that be with child, and to them that give suck. Why? Because they're going to get on the run. It's troublous time. Go ahead.
20. But pray ye that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath day.
What they got to do with us? People ain't keeping no Sabbath day anyway. The world ain't keeping the Sabbath. You know why he told them this? He said, pray that your destruction don't come on the Sabbath. Once we go in history and we read this, we're going to see the Roman armies came in on the Passover. Yes. That's one of God's Sabbath days. I didn't want this for you. Why? Because everybody is coming to Jerusalem. Remember, the pilgrimage is being made to Jerusalem. They're coming from all over the world to Jerusalem. That's why he said, pray that it don't happen in the Sabbath, on the Sabbath day. Because more people don't get killed because they're coming to Jerusalem. Right? Because that's what the law says. 3 times a year come up for the feast. Yes. So it's better for the whole nation that it don't be on the Sabbath. That it don't be on the Sabbath days. Because that means more Jews gonna die. Right? Because when we read Acts 2, did you see those Jews coming to Jerusalem? Every Jew from under heaven coming to Jerusalem, that's what they did. So if it ain't on the Sabbath, at least we don't have to worry about that. Alright? But go ahead.
21. For then shall be great tribulation, such as... Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Look at what he's telling you.
For then
shall be what?
Great tribulation.
What kind?
Such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be.
We got you, brother Al. Again, we got you. It says it clearly. For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world, no, nor ever shall be. We got you. You know what he's telling you? After Jerusalem is destroyed, it's going to be great tribulation on this people. This is the time of Jacob's trouble. This is the time of the Gentiles. Ain't no nation ever experienced no trouble, no tribulation like this. Ain't no nation went through a slave trade that started in 70 AD. Another one in 130 something AD. Another one with the transatlantic slave trade. Ain't no one nation of people being killed in mass numbers by the Inquisition. All for their faith in Christ and their believing and keeping the commandments. Ain't no one nation been called a flock of the slaughter. Ain't no one nation had their babies, their children fed to alligators. Ain't no one nation had their women raped, their wives taken and raped, and their children molested and beaten. Huh? Ain't no one nation experienced Jim Crow. Ain't no one nation experienced the Reconstruction period. Ain't no one nation experienced civil rights. Ain't no one nation experienced getting beat up by the people and killed and shot down by the people that's supposed to protect you. Huh? What other nation have went through this? Huh? Who? When are they gonna do this again? Name me another time that a whole nation of people gonna go into captivity. Ain't no one nation ever been removed from their land and forgotten their whole heritage. What other nation don't know who they are? What other nation don't know how you got to where you are? Huh? What other nation don't know where you came from? I'm just trying to figure it out. What other one nation had the true and living God and gave them up to serve idols? This ain't gonna never happen to no other nation. Ain't never gonna be a time like this on no other people. That's what he's letting us know. The curses that you read about in Deuteronomy 28, Leviticus 26, that's how Jacob's trouble and the great tribulation upon his people look in the flesh. That's how it look in detail. And I'm gonna show you. He said it's gonna happen to you for over a long period of time. But that ain't gonna happen until the end of Jerusalem. You see what I'm saying? Your safety has been taken away with the destruction of Jerusalem. Your safe haven is gone. You can't worship your God like you used to. Makes sense. The Roman army. Let's see what Daniel said. I mean, not Daniel, but we're going to go to Daniel. Luke 21. Because verse 15, he said, when you shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet, let him which be in Judea, let whosoever read understand. Then whoever in Judea flee to the mountains, because the end is coming. So let's go and see Luke 21, because it's the same account, right? We're going to start at verse 17. Verse 21 is our focus. Verse 20. Because Luke, I'm here to tell you, going to explain to you what this abomination of desolation was. There's more than one abomination of desolation. That's what we don't know. There's more than one. But at this time, the sign they need to see, Luke's going to give it to them. Let's go see. Verse 17. Go ahead.
And ye shall be hated of all men for my name's sake.
That's right. Because remember you preaching that gospel? They're going to persecute you. You're going to be hated for all men for his name's sake. Go ahead.
But there shall not any hair of your head perish.
Because the end ain't yet. Going back to Matthew 24. Go ahead.
And your patience possesses ye your soul.
You know what? The patience of the saints. You got to endure and overcome. So he that endured to the end, the same shall be saved. So you got to overcome and endure because tribulation is coming your way. Right? So he said, in your patience, ye possess your souls. Go ahead.
And when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies.
Look at that. He explained to them in detail what that abomination is. When you see, because remember, Matthew 24 and 15, Jesus said, when you shall therefore see the abomination of desolation. Well, now he explaining to you what it is. Right? Look, verse 20 said, when you shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies,
then know that the desolation thereof is nigh.
And know that the destruction is near. What armies? Let's go see. John 11 chapter. John 11, verse 48. Pop into the scripture.
If we let him thus alone, all men will believe on him.
Talking about Christ. Right? This lets you know in Jerusalem they wasn't even believing. The scribes and Pharisees say, man, if we don't do nothing, if we don't intervene, everybody gonna believe on this Christ. Right? Talking about Jesus. Right? But go ahead.
And the Romans shall come and take away both our place and nation.
Look at that.
Mm-hmm.
What army is he talking about? The Roman armies. He said they're going to come and take away both our place, that's our sanctuary, and they're going to take away our nation, and they're going to destroy the people. And now Luke is telling you, when you see them armies, so they already knew it was the Roman armies. Huh? We're going to see. Go back to Luke 20, Luke 21 and 20. Let's say, Brother Al, we need some proof.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 20. Go ahead, read again.
And when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh.
And history gonna back it up that it was the Roman army. So when you see that, because remember they asked for the sign that the end is come, right? The end of what? Jerusalem. When you see Jerusalem compassed with armies, you know that the desolation thereof is near. Then what do?
Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains.
That don't make sense. For what? Go ahead.
And let them which are in the midst of it depart out. And let not them that are in the countries enter thereinto.
Don't go back in now. Why not?
For these be the days of vengeance.
Look, what's the days of vengeance? When he get ready to destroy Jerusalem. The end is coming upon his people. When the prophets prophesy, they say the end is come upon my people.
Mm-hmm.
Someone say for 3 transgressions and for 4 I would not pass by them anymore.
Mm-hmm.
The destruction of Jerusalem is written about. Go ahead.
That all things which are written may be fulfilled.
Look at that.
Mm-hmm.
The end is coming. But let's look in history. Get that book over there, okay? So we want to see when this happened. I think it's page 135. Could be wrong, but hold on. You know, this is right. Read this part I highlighted.
Mm-hmm.
And this right here and that and that. So this is a history book entitled Last 2 Million Years. Will look good. I thought you was reading. Go ahead. What page is that?
86.
86 and 87. What did it say?
Under Rome's shadow.
Mm-hmm.
In 63 BC, Pompey the Great took Jerusalem and made Judah part of the Roman Empire under the name of Judea.
Mm-hmm.
Despite a relatively...
Under the name of what?
Judea.
Go ahead.
Despite a relatively prosperous period under Herod the Great, the Romans' puppet, king of Judea, the kingdom gradually declined into anarchy.
Mm-hmm.
The Romans were largely responsible for this decline.
Wars and rumors of wars.
Mm-hmm.
Huh? What else?
For they refused to take into account the religious feelings of the Jews.
That's why so much commotion. The Romans didn't care about the Jews' religion. But that's the Jews' whole world.
Mm-hmm.
That temple, that sanctuary, they said, man, you might have to kill us. Go ahead.
Whose commandments forbade them to take part in the compulsory worship of the emperor.
That's right. Because, they believe in the emperor worship.
Mm-hmm.
They worship the emperor as God. God forbid that. Huh? Mm-hmm. So kingdom gonna rise against kingdom, families and peasants. Go ahead.
You want 14?
Yeah, what do it say? What did that look for? This for? Yeah.
Many of the followers of Jesus of Nazareth too probably saw him as first and foremost a Jewish nationalist.
They didn't believe in him.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But the ones who did believe, they're gonna take heed to the warning. Somebody said this false Christ is gonna rise. They didn't believe. They thought he was just a regular old Jewish nationalist. Huh? Just somebody else, another false Messiah. Right? Go ahead.
And many will have been disappointed at hearing Jesus disavow any intention of being an earthly king.
Mm-hmm. My
kingdom is not of this world, which drove Judas to betray him.
Go ahead.
It was the Romans who crucified Jesus.
Remember he said, the love, because of iniquity you shall abound, and love of many gonna wax cold. He said they're gonna betray you, many gonna be offended, they're gonna hate one another. They're going to deliver you up. Huh? Judas did that to Christ. Go ahead.
It was the Romans who crucified Jesus, but they did so.
Go ahead.
But they did so at the instigation of the Jewish leaders who saw his teaching as undermining their authority and challenging traditional Judaism.
Go ahead. See, they didn't believe. Only thing they was doing is trying to keep the law, right? And they was making it oppressive. They didn't know that all the law and the prophets spoke about the Messiah coming. Or they didn't believe he was the one spoken of, I should say, by the law and the prophets. Go ahead.
In particular, they resented his claim in the Sermon on the Mount.
They rejected him. Go ahead.
That inner virtue is more important than conformity to mere rules of behavior.
Yeah. Let's get the highlighted part now. Yeah. Go ahead.
Faith survived the dispersion. The crucifixion of Jesus about AD 30 did not end Jewish resistance to the Roman occupation.
That's right. Still was wars and skirmishes and stuff, right? Revolts. All right, go ahead.
In 70, when the country was again in a state of revolt, Jerusalem, the holy city, became the core of the resistance to the Romans.
It's their main focus now. Go ahead.
Titus.
You said 70, what did you say?
70. Yes,
70 AD. Go ahead.
Titus, the son of Emperor Vespasian, proceeded to lay siege to Jerusalem.
So he proceeded to lay siege to Jerusalem, right? He encamped it. Ezekiel told us about this in the 5th chapter of Ezekiel. And he told us that, this is why it's important to know the truth, because it's a doctrine out here circulating talking about 2/3 of Israel is going to die. And Ezekiel already told us that's going to happen during the siege of Jerusalem. 1/3 is going to be to the sword, 1 to pestilence, and the other 1/3 is going to go to captivity. And out of that 1/3, I'm going to get another handful of them and try it through the fire. Meaning tribulation, in trouble, in anguish. Ezekiel 5, y'all can look it up. Go ahead.
The city fell.
The city fell when?
70.
That's what he warned them about. But who did it? Roman Emperor Titus. They did what? Surrounded the city. So the ones that believed in Christ, what would they do? Them that be in Judea flee to the mountains. But the ones who didn't believe, it shows you how many didn't believe. They didn't take heed to the warning. So a whole lot of them died. This 40 years after Christ died on the cross and rose. Go ahead.
And the inhabitants were enslaved.
So go ahead.
In their thousands. And dispersed throughout the Mediterranean world.
Dispersed throughout the Mediterranean world. Go ahead.
This was the first dispersion.
This was the first dispersion.
And worse was to follow.
There's more. See, this next part we're going to tackle, we don't never hit this. Right? So Jerusalem was destroyed, the temple and everything in 70 AD. Inhabitants was enslaved by the thousands. Some of them killed. The city set on fire, burned, all kind of chaos. That's why Jesus was warning them. You that's in Judea, get out of there. How I know when to go? When you see the abomination of desolations, aka the Roman armies encamp the city, that's the sign. Now you need to go back to Daniel so you can understand, which we will, right? But the ones that believe Jesus, they got out. Go ahead. And he said he said this was the first dispersion. Go ahead.
Worse was to follow.
And a worse one was to follow. Go ahead.
Continual insurrections and revolts against Rome.
Wars and rumors of wars. Nation rising against nation. Famines and pestilences, earthquakes. These are the beginning of sorrow. He said, worse is to come. Go ahead.
Against Roman rule led to the total destruction of Jerusalem in 135.
135 AD, or about another 70 years after 65 years after 70 AD, another destruction happened. Which was worse than the one that happened in 70 AD. And you know who did this? Same thing. The Roman armies under the leadership of a man called Hadrian. He was a Roman emperor. His name is Hadrian. We're going to look him up. Go ahead.
The city was renamed Aelia Capitolina.
And this is why this last one is so important. Because once Hadrian did this, he wanted to sever all connections between Israel, the land, and their God. So what he do? One of the things he did was rename the city. What he called it?
Aelia Capitolina.
And it was a mockery. Because he knew that one of the Jews' enemies was the Philistines. So he named the city after the Philistines. Go ahead.
And all Jews were prohibited from entering it.
Now that's the biggest thing right there. He banned all Jews from being able to go back to Jerusalem. Go ahead.
A second and more important dispersion now took place.
Yes.
And the whole of Judea was renamed Palestine.
That's even years later. Let's look at this guy. His name is Hadrian. We got a couple little accounts. Roman emperor. We're going to read it quick because I've already been going long. Well, I'm just trying to get us to see. He wasn't talking about the end of the world. We haven't made it that far. We ain't skipping no question. Read that part where it say Jerusalem. So this is the Roman Emperor Hadrian. He renamed Jerusalem. He kicked all of the Jews out, didn't let them come back in. And in reality, more Jews died in this dispersion than in the 70 AD. And it still come under the banner of Matthew 24 and 15. Abomination of desolation. It's the same thing. Roman armies, Roman general, encountered Jerusalem, destroyed it again. And watch what he did. Go ahead. He did some more stuff. Go ahead.
Jerusalem.
He showed out.
Although Hadrian was a learned and cultivated man, his policy of peaceful relations and negotiations was not always adhered to. In 130 CE, Hadrian visited Jerusalem.
So 130 CE, right? Go ahead. He visited Jerusalem,
which was still in ruins from the first Roman-Jewish war.
Which happened when? 70 AD, right? So the city was still in ruins. Go ahead.
He rebuilt the city according to his own design.
Oh, he made it Greek-like, some people say. Go ahead.
And renamed it Aelia Capitolina. Jupiter Capitolinus, after himself and the king of the Roman gods, which he built a temple to Jupiter on the ruins of the Temple of Solomon.
So you see that? Where they destroyed the temple at? Destroyed it down to the ground in 70 AD. This man came back and he built a temple to Jupiter over the temple that was for the Jews. So he built it over on top of the Temple Mount. Abomination. Go ahead.
When he built the temple of Jupiter on the ruins of the Temple of Solomon, the so-called Second Temple, considered sacred by the Jews, the populace rose up under the leadership of Simon Bar Kokhba.
It was another revolt leading up to that point. It was called the Bar Kokhba revolt. He was another false Messiah that Christ was warning them about. But they had a revolt, and it ended up leading to this last little old war. But go ahead.
And what has come to be known as the Bar Kokhba revolt, 132 through 136. Roman losses in the campaign were enormous, but Jewish losses were no less significant. By the time the rebellion was put down, 580,000 Jews had been killed.
580,000 Jews. By the time it was over. Go ahead.
And over 1,000 towns and villages destroyed.
Destroyed to the ground. What else do it say?
Hadrian then banished the remaining Jews from the region and renamed it Syria, Palestina, after the traditional enemies of the Jewish people, the Philistines. He ordered a public burning of the Torah.
Public burning of the Torah. First 5 books of Moses, which were sacred to the Jews. Then he banned them, didn't let the rest of them come back in, changed the name of the city, right? What else? So this is worse. And this happened around 135 AD. So after Christ gave that prophecy, about roughly 100 years later, that's when this happened. But as you can see, we still dealing with the end of Jerusalem. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So that emperor, his name was Hadrian. That's good. But this little book it's just gonna tell you the same thing. But let's see another one of the low exploits he did. Hold on, I'm trying to get right to the page. Okay. That one 45. Okay. Page 50. There's a lot in here. I'm gonna read all of it. Oh, it's not, okay. So this part right there. Okay. You got 45. That's the 51. Yeah. Alright. Just a little bit more on Hadrian. It's more, we're just trying to narrow it down. Go ahead.
In the year 131, the Roman Emperor Hadrian established Aelia Capitolina, a pagan city built upon the ruins of Jerusalem. The name Aelia Capitolina is derived from Hadrian's family name and the name of the Roman god Jupiter Capitolinus. A temple of Jupiter was built on the Temple Mount where Solomon's temple once stood.
Abomination, that's abomination.
Mm-hmm.
You don't build a temple to a false god on top of the Lord's temple, or where it formerly stood. So what I'm saying is, keep going. I'll say it later. This book is called Time is the Ally of the Sea. Go ahead.
And those who appeared to have anything to do with the God of the Bible were forbidden to enter the city.
Look at that. Go ahead.
The actions of Hadrian, which some scholars believe to have included the prohibition of circumcision.
Right, he didn't allow it, because that's in the Torah.
Mm-hmm.
Circumcise your males on the 8th day. He forbidden that for the Jews. Go ahead.
Led to what is known as the Bar Kokhba revolt, which would result in the final dispersion of Judaism as it had been practiced for over 1,500 years.
That's right. They gonna rise up. You trying to outlaw our way of life? What some call it religion. We gonna rise up. So it started a revolt, an uprising. Right? Go ahead. What does 50 say? I don't need all that. Just go. So they burned the Torah too on top of that. Go ahead. 51 here. Just get a little bit more.
The Bar Kokhba rebellion of 132 AD, Jewish writings state that the rebellion began as a result of the fact that Jews were forbidden to study and practice Torah.
That's why they uprised. You trying to outlaw it? The study of the Torah? Go ahead.
The first 5 books of the Old Testament.
Mm-hmm.
Some specifically mentioned Roman decrees which forbade circumcision and the observance of the Sabbath.
Yeah. And we think the Sabbath ain't no big deal now.
Mm-hmm.
They was trying to outlaw it. All right, go ahead.
It should have been expected that the Jewish people would rebel, and that they did.
Yes.
The devastating revolt known as the Bar Kokhba Rebellion will see hundreds of thousands of Jewish people slaughtered, exiled, or sold into slavery.
Exile, sold into slavery. What? Go ahead.
The name of Judea would be changed to Palestine. And most importantly, it would cause a final split between Christianity and rabbinical Judaism.
That's good. That's good. That's enough. Just move. No, that's good. So let's go back to the scripture. What's the point for reading that? To show you that the abomination of desolation that you're looking for to come in the future has already taken place. According to history and according to the Bible. Luke explained it a little bit more in detail. He called it the Roman armies. But Christ said, when you see it, he said, when you read, go back and see what Daniel the prophet wrote so you can understand. So let's go back and see what Daniel wrote. Daniel the 9th chapter. Daniel the 9th chapter is dealing with this topic right here. I know they run to Daniel 8 and see the abomination of desolation. In Daniel 11 it says abomination of desolation. But those abomination of desolations are not the same one. I can prove it. They're not the same abomination of desolation that Jesus is talking about. The one he's talking about is dealing with the destruction of Jerusalem. That's the context of the scripture. Dealing with the destruction of Jerusalem. So let's go. Daniel the 9th chapter. We'll start at verse 25 or 24. Come on. Go ahead.
70 weeks are determined upon thy people and upon the holy city.
Look, this. Let me see if I can explain this. This 70 weeks what we're reading about in Daniel. Remember Jesus was telling them after all this stuff happened, then all shall be fulfilled. This 70 weeks is the time that's already determined upon the holy people. And this time is running all the way down to our time. Reason why I know is because the holy people are still not in the holy city. Right? We still out scouting. So they let me know the time is not fulfilled even though it's already been determined. Right? So that's what he tells you. 70 weeks. Right? Go ahead.
Are determined upon thy people and the holy city to finish the transgression.
Yes.
And to make an end of sin.
To make an end of sin. Go ahead.
And to make reconciliation for iniquity.
And what else?
And to bring in everlasting righteousness.
And what else?
And to seal up the vision and prophecy, and to anoint the most holy.
So that's a lot of stuff have to happen, right? We ain't dealing with all that right now because we got another topic on the table. So go ahead.
Know therefore and understand.
They had tore down the temple the first temple that stood. Now a temple has to be rebuilt. Why? Why does the temple have to be rebuilt? Because Jesus had to have a place, a temple to come to. That's the only reason. See, right now, the time has already been determined on the people. If it wasn't for Christ hadn't come yet, if it wasn't for that, the people would have never went back to the city. He already was mad at them for all the abominations that they have committed. That's the reason the land is desolate. See, we learned that by Moses. We both have learned that principle. If you commit all these transgressions, I'm going to keep all these abominations, I'm going to keep you out of your land. Now he told Israel this before you even got in the land. Now all of a sudden we got in the land, we don't forgot what's going to get the land desolate. So the time has already been determined. The only reason he let them go back, because he kicked Israel out, the northern tribe, for the same thing. He never let them go back. For all their abominations, their land is desolate. So why would he let Judah, who did the same thing Israel did, go back to the land? Only reason was because Christ had to come. The prophecies that was written about Christ had to be fulfilled. Now, once them prophecies fulfilled, guess what? I got to destroy Jerusalem again because the time of 70 weeks is already determined and it's not full. I hope that ain't too much. It probably is, but we'll keep rolling. We'll review. Go ahead. Do that make any sense? Too much? Too much. All right. Go ahead.
To restore and to build Jerusalem until the Messiah the Prince shall be 7 weeks.
Right, so they got that decree in the days of Ezra and Nehemiah to go back and rebuild Jerusalem, right? So the time we're reading about now, Christ hadn't come yet. We in the Babylonian Empire. So it's Babylon, then had to go to the Medes and Persians, then the Greece, then to Rome. See, Christ came in, the Roman kingdom was already set up. So it was later, years later, right? But the prophecy about the destruction of Jerusalem is already determined. That's what we're reading about. We're going to read it. Go ahead.
Shall be 7 weeks and 62 weeks. The street shall be built again.
So they built it, right? They rebuilt Jerusalem. Where do you think Jesus came to? The city that was rebuilt, right under the hand of Ezra and Nehemiah, right? They rebuilt it. This is how long it took them. Right, go ahead.
And the wall even in troublous times.
Yep, go ahead.
And after 62 weeks.
That's 62. Go ahead.
Shall Messiah be cut off.
So you got 7 weeks already in the happening, then 62 more, so that brings you to 69 weeks. And the total time for everything to take place is 70 weeks. Right? So out of the 70 weeks, right now what we're reading, we had 69 when we get to Jesus, right? The Messiah. So 69 of those 70 done elapsed. So what that means? We got one left. Right? Go ahead. So don't worry about the time. We can always figure out the time. We need to understand the principle of the thing. The time is add up once you add it. But if you don't got the principle, it don't make no difference if you can get the time right or not. So go ahead.
And after 62 weeks.
So after 62 weeks, which is actually 69 altogether, the 7 done already elapsed. So after 69 out of the 70 weeks,
shall Messiah be cut off.
But what that mean? He's gonna be killed, right? For who?
But not for himself and the people of the prince that shall come.
So he's gonna die for the people, right? Not for his own sin, but for our sin. Right? So now look what he's gonna say after the Messiah. He said, what? The people of the prince. What they gonna do?
They shall come, shall destroy the city and the sanctuary.
See, this is the context we're dealing with. The people of the prince. This is that Roman army he was prophesying about. At the time when this prophecy took place, Rome was the in charge. Huh? We know Satan is over all the kingdoms of the world. He used people to bring the bid to pass. So the people of the prince at this time, when you're talking about this part, was the Romans. That's why when we went to history, in 70 AD, it was the Romans who destroyed Jerusalem. But that's what we're dealing with, the destruction of Jerusalem. We're going to see. Go ahead.
And the end thereof shall be with the flood.
So the end of Jerusalem shall be with a flood. That means armies. Destruction by armies. That's what the flood is. Flood of armies. That's all it is. They're going to bring in that destruction. Go ahead.
And unto the end of the war, desolations are determined.
See, the desolations are already determined. They had, remember Jesus said wars and rumors of wars. They had all different revolts and uprisings. No matter what, that's going to happen until the end, until the destruction takes place. Go ahead.
27. And he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week.
Right. So now, that brings us to we're going to start on that 70th week. Right. He shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week.
And in the midst of the week, he shall cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease.
So in the midst of that week, he died. He didn't finish the whole week. Right. So we had 69 and a half. Huh? That's why the holy people in the city, who still scattered in the city, is still given to the Gentiles because their time ain't fulfilled. Because you know what? How much time they got? 42 months. You know how much time that is? 3.5 years. Right? If you put it in a week, 3.5 days. Huh? Christ cut off in the middle of the week, right? So once he cut off and the city is destroyed, then that 42 months begin. Now we got 3.5 years left out of this 7. That's why the time ain't fulfilled. Am I confused? I'm confused. You don't have to go over that. Because I'm confusing everybody. Because remember, 24 says 70 weeks are determined. 69 brought us to Christ. He was confirming the covenant, right? So he started working on that 70th week. We in the middle of it, he died. He didn't finish. So it's 69 and a half. Right? That other half is going to start the time of the Gentiles. Because we finna see what sign he give us. Jerusalem, the destruction of Jerusalem. The temple being destroyed. That's the sign. Go ahead.
Shall cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease.
That's what Christ did. Remember when he died on the cross? What happened? The veil of the temple rent. No longer do we sacrifice animals for sin. He was the ultimate sin offering. Confirmed the covenant with many for 1 week. He died in the midst of the week. Go ahead.
And for the overspreading of abominations.
Look, for all the abomination that you committed, Israel, what's going to happen?
He shall make it desolate.
Make what desolate? Make what desolate? The land and the temple. That's why your land is desolate, Israel, for all the abominations that you committed. Now he gave them a sign with the Roman armies, which he labeled abomination of desolation. But the reason why your land is desolate is because all the sin that you committed, or all the abomination that you committed. Therefore, your land is desolate. That's the reason it's waste. That's what it said. What's overspreading mean? It's so many, we overflowing. Gotta destroy this foolishness. He's telling us the reason why your land is desolate is because all of the abominations that you committed. Go ahead.
Even until the consummation, and that determined shall be poured upon the desolate.
Right, it's already been determined. The time. It's already been, the abomination is going to happen. It's prophesied about. So when you go back to Matthew 24, this is what Christ is telling the apostles to understand. Go back to Daniel and see. He wrote about this. Jeremiah 44 and 22 will let you know your land is destroyed because of all of the abominations that you commit. That's why. Not because no pope. Not because nobody else. It's because of what you did, Israel. Nobody can curse Israel but Israel. That's how I knew the Pope can't be the abomination of desolation. Only you can curse Israel. Only Israel can curse Israel. That's how God, you know why? Because you're in a covenant with God. Can't no outside influence the covenant between you and God. It can't happen. That's not how it goes. The covenant is between me and you. How you going to come into our covenant and affect what we do? Make it null and void. Or change or alter it. That's not how it works. It don't happen like that. So to say the Pope is the abomination of desolation, that means he got the power to change what's between me and God. He the reason that our land is desolate, in other words. It's not true. We learned that with Balak and Balaam. Right? During that lesson, God was saying, whoever God cursed is cursed, and whoever God blessed is blessed. Well, the way you get cursed is by what? Sin. That's abomination. Outside influence do nothing. That's what I'm saying. We got to understand the principle. Good stuff. So let's go back now to Matthew 24. We almost out of it. I don't know too long. So now, we're going to go to Luke 21 as well. But we're going to do Matthew 24 first. Right? So now look. We'll start back at 15. So they needed to understand what the Lord was telling them. Verse 15, go ahead.
When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation, spoken of by Daniel the prophet, stand in the holy place. Whosoever read it, let him understand.
Because the abomination that we just read about was talking about the destruction of the city and the sanctuary, which is what Christ is talking about now. Huh? Because this is going to mark something. Once the city and the sanctuary is destroyed, it's something else that we need to see. Go ahead.
16. Then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains.
So now this make more sense, right? Now this make more sense. Because Judea is going to be destroyed. Go ahead.
Let him which is on the housetop not come down to take anything out of his house. Neither let him which is in the field return back to take his clothes. And woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days.
Yes.
But pray ye that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath days. For then shall be great tribulation,
yes,
such as was not since the beginning of the world, to that time no nor ever shall be. And except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake those days shall be shortened.
So the end of Jerusalem marks the start of the great tribulation for Israel, for the time of Jacob's trouble, for the time of the Gentiles. He said when no flesh gonna survive, it's because them Roman armies was coming through destroying all them Israelites. Let's go to Luke 21 and look. Luke 21, pick me up at verse 20. Luke 21 and 20, go ahead.
And when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh. Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains.
That's right, come on.
And let them which are in the midst of it depart out. And let not them that are in the countries enter thereinto.
That's right, so if you was, dealing with one of them false Christs, you didn't take heed to this warning. You got caught up in this destruction. Go ahead.
For these be the days of vengeance.
These be the days of vengeance. What you mean?
That all things which are written may be fulfilled.
Yeah, that's what he was saying in Daniel. Go ahead.
But woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. For there shall be great distress in the land, and wrath upon this people.
Look, wrath upon this people, great distress. Where at? In the land. Huh? Go ahead.
And they shall fall by the edge of the sword.
They shall fall by the edge of the sword.
And shall be led away captive into all nations. And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles, until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled.
So we learned that time is what? 42 months. All right, let me write it on the board. Let me see. I might make sense out of it. Okay, so the time of Gentiles. Okay, well, so we got 70 AD, then we put 135 AD. What happened? Jerusalem. Jerusalem destroyed. Alright? So this is the timeline. So he's saying basically from this point on is going to be what? 42 months, time of the Gentiles. Right, this is 70 AD, 135 AD. So this is our markers. So look what happened. Once it was destroyed, they was led away captive. Right? Slavery. Jacob led away captive. You know what this marked? This time, the time of Jacob's trouble. Great tribulation. On Jacob. Because Jacob is without a home. Jacob is without God. Jacob is without law, statutes, and commandments. Jacob is without heritage. And this was, so what the Lord did was give power to his witness. He had to blow in his breath and give his spirit to the dry bones. And this is a period of 1260. So they started to prophesy. But Moses had already told us this was going to happen. So what I'm saying is, this started Jacob's trouble, the great tribulation, the time of the Gentiles. It's all so this is 3.5 years. Which this one, with all of this event right here, this brought us to 69.5 years. So in order to complete 70 weeks, 70 weeks a year, we got 3.5 left, or the time of 42 months. Which is, look, I'm just going to say, you still in this time. You just don't know it. Let's go to Deuteronomy, the 4th chapter. Deuteronomy 4, verse 24. Moses, he'd been told us this. We didn't pay attention. Deuteronomy 4:24. Harken to the scripture.
For the Lord thy God is a consuming fire, even a jealous God.
Yes.
When thou shalt beget children, and children's children, and ye shall have remained long in the land.
Look, he said, he talked to the Israelites in the wilderness right now, but he said, I'm going to give you the promised land, which is Jerusalem. He said, when you beget children, and they beget children, basically you stand in the land of Jerusalem for a long period of time. This is what's going to happen. Go ahead.
And shall corrupt yourself.
So once you start to corrupt yourself, or commit abominations, go ahead.
And make graven image.
Look, that's the number one abomination which causes desolation right there, idolatry. Go ahead.
Or the likeness of anything, and shall do evil in the sight of the Lord thy God, to provoke him to anger.
What's going to happen?
I call heaven and earth to witness against you this day.
What you call heaven and earth witness against us what?
That ye shall soon utterly perish from off the land.
So this ain't got nothing to do with no pope. The reason you desolate from your land got nothing to do with no pope. The reason you desolate is for all your abominations. I told you this in Deuteronomy before you even went to the land. I told you this. Once you start to commit abominations, what he's saying, I swear, I call heaven and earth to witness against you. You shall utterly soon perish from off the land. Go ahead.
Well, until you go over Jordan to possess it.
Yes.
You shall not prolong your days upon it.
That's right.
But shall utterly be destroyed.
You're going to be scattered into all nations. You're going to be utterly destroyed.
And the Lord shall scatter you among the nations.
Look, this is what goes with it. Huh? You scattered among the nations. Go ahead.
And ye shall be left few in number among the heathen, whither the Lord shall lead you.
Go ahead.
And there ye shall serve God.
Look, if you notice, we haven't changed the context one time. We've been dealing with the destruction of Jerusalem, and that's going to bring, which is going to bring on for your abominations. You're going to be, your land is going to be desolate, and part of your desolation is you're going to be scattered into all nations. Right? That's great trouble and tribulation for you. Right? And then when you get to the other nations, you're going to be left few in number. So now I'm starting to describe in detail some of your trouble, some of your tribulation. And you're going to serve other gods, which is going to keep you in a perpetual state of desolation. Go ahead and read.
The work of men's hands.
That's right.
Wood and stone, which neither see nor hear nor eat nor smell. But if from thence thou shalt seek the Lord thy God.
That's hope. But if from here you start to seek the Lord your God,
thou shalt find him.
That's how we found him. We scattered. 4 corners, we scattered. How we end up finding him? We started to see, bethink ourselves. We turn from abominations, abominable acts. We turn from idolatry. we started to consider, well, if it's a lake of fire, there's no need of me burning. It just don't make common sense what I need to do. All right, so we started to make preparation and change. But go ahead.
If thou seek him with all thine heart and with all thy soul, when thou art in tribulation.
Look, who is he talking to? Israel or Jacob, and he's explaining to them about them being scattered everywhere. Few in number, things happening to you, tribulation happening to you. Now he's saying when you are in tribulation. So this is a part of your tribulation. Because remember, Matthew said, and then shall be great tribulation. But Moses had already told us about that. That's what Christ got it from the prophets. Only one gospel. So look, when you are in
tribulation, and all these things will come upon thee.
When?
Even in the latter days.
What? What time we in?
Latter days.
Is it easy? See, the reason why we can't see the trouble and tribulation is because we look at it with tunnel vision. Because it hadn't got all the way bad on us yet. But Jacob all across the world is bad. It's already big. This is a long, continual thing, like what I'm telling you. From the destruction of Jerusalem all the way to now. Right in here, we had the Inquisition on Jacob. They was dying for their belief in God, for the keeping of the commandments. You can't tell a man that's being skinned alive and his skin used for a belt that it's going to be a time that's worse than this. That's a fairy tale to that man. You can't tell a mama who gotta watch a baby being fed to alligators for bait that it's gonna be a worse time than that. You can't tell nobody that's been burned and hung on a cross that it's gonna be a worse time than this. Go tell them in their face. What? It's a joke. They try to tell them in their face that it's gonna be a worse time than this. Whole families being killed for keeping the commandments. Mass slaughter. Can't tell nobody. Using their skin to make coats and belts. And they being human foot warmers, that it's a worse time. There's going to be another nation that suffer a time worse than this. It's not going to happen. It ain't going to happen. Nobody, this ain't never going to happen to nobody else. No time is going to be worse. Even the people that do it, they say ain't nothing like this ever happened to anybody else. What's wrong with the people? Time of Jacob's trouble. Go ahead.
If thou turn to the Lord thy God, and shalt be obedient unto his voice, for the Lord thy God is a merciful God. He will not forsake thee, neither destroy thee, nor forget the covenant of thy fathers which he sware unto them.
That's right. Go ahead.
For ask now of the days that are past, which were before thee, since the day that God created man upon the earth.
That's right.
And ask from the one side.
Ask from where?
From the one side of heaven unto the other.
Yes.
Whether there have been any such thing as this great thing is, or have been heard like it.
Like what?
Did ever people hear the voice of God speaking out of the midst of the fire, as thou hast heard and lived?
So what he's showing you is God has dealt with his people in that magnitude before. He has done something to this nation that has never been done to any other nation. For good and for bad. The good part was they heard his voice from heaven. Ain't no other nation ever heard his voice and lived. He said, go ask from one hand. So if he can do it for the good, he can do it for the bad also because he got a personal relationship with you. That's how he deals with it. So when he's telling you about great tribulation on his people, he said there ain't going to be a time like this ever again. It's that bad. It's on you. So if he did it for the good, he do it for the bad. Let's go to Leviticus 26. Leviticus 26, verse 25. Go ahead.
And I will bring a sword upon you that shall avenge the quarrel of my covenant. And when you are gathered together within your cities, I will send the pestilence among you, and ye shall be delivered into the hand of the enemy.
Look, that's why it's so bad on Jacob. You gonna be delivered into the hand of the enemy. I'm gonna bring a sword upon you. Because I gotta avenge my covenant. Drop down to verse 28. Go ahead.
Then I will walk contrary unto you also with fury.
Yes.
And even I will chastise you 7 times for your sins.
Yes.
And ye shall eat the flesh of your sons, and the flesh of your daughters shall ye eat.
They did that in the siege. When the Roman armies was surrounding Jerusalem, they wouldn't let food come in and out. It was a famine. In order to survive, some of them they actually ate their sons and daughters. That's a time of trouble. Go ahead.
And I will destroy your high places, and cut down your images, and cast your carcasses upon the carcasses of your idols.
Look, all of these abominations we reading about. But it's going to cause you to be desolate from your land. Go ahead.
And my soul shall abhor you.
My soul going to hate you. Go ahead.
And I will make your cities waste.
I will make your cities waste.
And bring your sanctuaries unto desolation. And I will not smell the savor of your sweet odor.
What else you going to do?
And I will bring the land into desolation. And your enemies which dwell therein shall be astonished at it.
That's right.
And I will scatter you among the heathen.
Where you at? You scattered among the heathen, your land desolate. This is trouble, tribulation upon you. This is what it looks like in the flesh. This is just some of the stuff. We ain't even reading everything. Go ahead.
And I will draw out a sword after you.
Look, that's trouble. If the Lord is drawing out a sword, that's tribulation and trouble for you. Go ahead.
And your land shall be desolate, and your cities waste. Then shall the land enjoy her Sabbaths as long as it lie desolate, and ye be in your enemy's land. Even then shall the land rest and enjoy her Sabbath.
That's right. Where you at?
35.
Go to verse 37. Go ahead.
And they shall fall one upon another, as it were before a sword, when none pursue it, and ye shall have no power to stand before your enemies.
That's where we at now. Why no power? God was our power. He ain't with you because of transgression. You don't have no power to stand. That's why people get killed in the streets. No justice. Go ahead. And the worst part about it, we're going to read. Go ahead.
And ye shall perish among the heathen, and the land of your enemies shall eat you up.
This is trouble. What other nation is going through this stuff? Nobody, exactly. Go ahead.
And they that are left of you shall pine away in their iniquity in your enemy's land.
That's the worst part about it. You're going to die in your sin. That means you're going to hell. You die in your sin. That's it. Go ahead.
And also in the iniquities of their fathers shall they pine away with them.
Verse 43.
The land also shall be left of them, and shall enjoy her Sabbaths, while she lie desolate without them. And they shall accept of the punishment of their iniquity, because they despise my judgments, because their soul abhorred my statutes. And yet for all that, when they be in the land of their enemies, I will not cast them away, neither will I abhor them to destroy them utterly, and to break my covenant with them, for I am the Lord their God.
So that's our hope. He won't destroy us all the way. But you're going to go through this. You're going to get punished. Let's go to Deuteronomy 28 right quick. I'm only going to read a couple verses out of here. I just got to show you that this is for a long period of time. That these things are going to come. These things are pursuing you. Over a long stretch of time, it's pursuing you and chasing you down. These curses, this trouble, these pestilences. They're overtaking you. Verse, let's just do 59. This is the curses we're reading about. We only gonna read a couple of them because we're running out of time. Go ahead.
Then the Lord will make thy plagues wonderful, and the plagues of thy seed, even great plagues, and of long continuance.
What that mean?
I don't know what long.
I mean, it's gonna last for a long time, don't it? Because you gotta think, this tribulation, trouble, these curses got to hit the whole seed of Jacob. Not just Jacob in one era of time, but a long continuous. They're going to chase you and pursue. You're not going to be able to get rid of them. You're going to constantly be in trouble. Torment, anguish. And it's great. He's multiplying your sorrows upon you. Jeremiah 30 chapter say he's going to correct you in measure. It's dealing with Jacob's trouble. He saw better in Leviticus 26 that he's going to correct you. If it don't work, he'll send 7 times the plagues on you. That's correcting you in measure. And if that don't work, 7 times more. So whatever it takes for you to be corrected, I'm correcting you in measure. Right? Because it don't take everything for everybody. But it's going to be on you for a long continuance. And sore sickness. Sickness is of a long continuance. Go ahead.
A long continuance and sore sicknesses, and of long continuance.
Verse 61. Go ahead.
Also, every sickness and every plague which is not written in the book of this law, them will the Lord bring upon thee until thou be destroyed.
Verse 64.
And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, from the one end of the earth even unto the other.
And what's going to happen?
And there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone.
Verse 66.
And thy life shall hang in doubt.
So once you get to the motherland where I scattered you, you're going to serve their gods. It's almost automatic. Go ahead.
And thou shalt fear day and night, and shalt have none assurance of thy life.
You know what that means? You don't have any protection. I'm not with you. You know, he's your God is my strength and my refuge, my fortress. None of that. Because this is a time of trouble for you. Go ahead.
67. In the morning thou shalt say, would God it were evening. And in the evening thou shalt say, would God it were morning.
Go ahead.
For the fear of thine heart wherewith thou shalt fear, and for the sight of thine eyes which thou shalt see. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
Egypt is captivity for Israel. And he's telling you how you're going to get. This is a part of your tribulation. How you get over here? Somebody said they walked. Who drove their car?
Not one.
You got over here from Jerusalem because you was kicked out of your land for committing abominations against your God. Now these curses, these trouble, this tribulation followed you. It started once we kicked you out of your land. And it's going to be on you for a long continuance. That's what he's telling you. Go ahead.
By the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again.
And this is some of your trouble. One of the main ones I forgot to read was you're going to be in financial strain everywhere you live, all over the world. See, that one we can respect. Okay, now I see you need trouble and tribulation. You know what I'm saying? You right. Now I'm right. I got you. Right? Financial trouble on the whole nation. You can't borrow. All you can do is borrow. You never be in a position to lend. You going to everybody for everything you need. That's tribulation. Well, other nations, they can come with their own people. This tribulation. Go ahead.
And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies, for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you.
Nobody gonna help you. Nobody gonna help you out of that situation. Because our bruise was incurable. Let's go back to Matthew 24. All this stuff is just showing. It starts when you don't have a homeland of your own. Go ahead.
Wait.
Oh, verse 21. So he says, "Him which being Judea flee to the mountains, Basically, we got to the destruction of Jerusalem, right?
Mm-hmm.
So once the destruction of Jerusalem happened, what happened?
For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no nor ever shall be.
Ham and no other people. And it's going to start at the destruction of Jerusalem when you get carried away captive. That's when it started. Ezekiel verified. Let's go to Ezekiel 5. He said, this is the beginning. So it shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, the time what they in now, no, nor ever shall be. Ezekiel said the same thing. We're gonna read verse 9, and then we're gonna back up to 1, just to show you that Ezekiel had already said the same thing. Go ahead.
And I will do in thee that which I have not done.
Look, he said, I'm gonna do in you. Ezekiel is an Israelite. I'm going to do in the midst of you that which I have not done to anybody else. Go ahead.
And whereunto I will not do any more of the like.
That's what he said in Matthew.
Mm-hmm.
No, nor ever shall be. I won't do this again. So it's 2 times where he said I ain't going to never do this no more? Nah, Ezekiel's prophesying about that. Go ahead.
Because of all thine abominations.
Look, then that's why he's doing it. Because of what?
All thine abominations.
Verse 1. Now let's get some clues. Verse 1. Go ahead.
And thou, son of man, take thee a sharp knife, take thee a barber's razor, and cause it to pass upon thine head and upon thy beard, and then take thee balances to weigh and divide the hair. Thou shalt burn with fire a third part in the midst of the city, when the days of the siege are fulfilled.
Look, what siege? What siege? The siege of Jerusalem. When the Roman armies come past the city and they take siege to it, this is the time I'm talking about. So I'm giving you a sign. I want you to take your hair. Right? And he said, what verse you at? 2. And I want you to burn a third part of it with fire.
In the midst of the city.
In the middle of the city. Right? What city? Jerusalem. Just back up to the 4th chapter to let you know. But go ahead.
When the days of the siege are fulfilled.
When what?
The days of the siege are fulfilled.
When they over with, right? Go ahead.
And thou shalt take a third part.
So this is another third, which is 2/3. Go ahead.
And smite about it with the knife. And a third part thou shalt
smite about it with a knife. You know what that represents? Being killed by the sword. So 1/3, I want you to burn in fire. Another third is killed with the sword. That's 2/3. Putting an end to the 2/3 doctrine. It's already fulfilled. It ain't nothing that's going to happen in the future. It's done and fulfilled at the siege of Jerusalem. 7 AD. Go ahead.
And smite about it with a knife. And the third part thou shalt scatter in the wind.
So that 1/3 that remained out of the 2/3, scatter it in the wind. You know what that means? The 4 winds of heaven. Scatter them into captivity. Spread them across all nations. When is this going to happen? At the siege. When the siege is over. When the siege of Jerusalem is over, it's 70 AD. Go ahead.
And I will draw out a sword after them.
Remember you read that in Deuteronomy?
Yeah.
So once you get scattered, I'm going to draw out a sword after. It's not over. Now, tribulation and trouble starts for you. Go ahead.
Thou shalt also take thereof a few in number, and bind them in thy skirts.
And do what? So out of the 1/3 that's been scattered, you take a few of them, bind them in your skirts, right? Go ahead.
Then take of them again and cast them into the midst of the fire.
And then take them and cast them into the midst of the fire. Go ahead. You know what that means? Being tried by fire. That's good if you stand up, because that means you'll be saved. The ones that are going to be saved got to be tried by the fire. But you're going to be in the midst of your land, in the midst of great trouble and tribulation. See if you can hold up. He that endures to the end shall be saved. Go ahead.
And burn them in the fire. For thereof shall a fire come forth into all the house of Israel. Thus saith the Lord God, this is Jerusalem.
This is what?
Jerusalem.
What verse you at? 5. Go ahead.
I have set it in the midst of the nations and countries that are round about her.
Now he's saying Jerusalem as a city, but he's talking about the inhabitants. Because he done spread the inhabitants in the midst of all these countries and nations. For why he do that? For your abominations, your wisdom. So the abominations that you committed make your land desolate. That's what I'm showing you. More than one abomination of desolation. And ain't now one of them got nothing to do with the Pope. I'm just saying. It just is what it is. You're the reason that your land is desolate. Go ahead.
Okay.
6.
And she had changed my judgments into wickedness more than the nations.
Look, we did worse than the nation. That's why your land desolate. Go ahead.
And my statutes more than the countries that are round about her.
Mm-hmm.
For they have refused my judgments.
Yes.
And my statutes.
Is this not the truth? You can
Yes,
see
sir.
this now. Go ahead.
They have not walked in them.
Yeah.
Therefore, thus saith the Lord God,
What did he say?
because ye multiply more than the nations that are round about you.
Look, do you remember what Daniel told us? For the overspreading of abominations in your land, that's the same stuff. You just gotta hold fast to what's good.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
And have not walked in my statutes, neither have kept my judgments, neither have done according to the judgments of the nations that are round about you.
So you gonna let me get away with it?
Therefore, thus saith the Lord God,
Just let me slide.
behold, even I am against thee, and will execute judgment in the midst of thee in the sight of the nations.
Go ahead.
And I will do in thee that which I have not done.
Look, this is what it said in Matthew. I'm going to do to you what I have never done to anybody since it was a nation created, nor am I going to do it again. Go ahead.
And whereunto I will not do any more of the like.
Same thing. I'm not going to do this again. But you're going to go through it. For all the sin you committed against me, I'm against you for that. There's going to be great trouble. Great tribulation. Right? We'll finish that verse and we'll escape back to Matthew. I got to close it down.
Because of all thine abominations.
I'm trying to teach everything in one set. It ain't going to happen. Because of what?
All thine abominations.
That's the reason. The reason your land is destroyed has never changed. Never. Now we done came as preachers and changed the reason. But it ain't never changed. They know why they desolate. Go ahead. Now let's go to 24. Matthew 24. So that's why he said in Luke 21, when your nation is destroyed, it's gonna be the time, it's given to the Gentiles. Your land is given to the Gentiles until their time is up. They got 42 months. So we in the midst of that 42 months. Their time ain't up. So your land is still destroyed. So if they build a temple in your land, that's just what that is. It's not going to be holy though. Can't no other nation build no temple to God and it be holy. You just talking, Brother Al. Look, he wouldn't even let King David, a man after his own heart, build a temple. How you going to let some Ashkenazi Jews build a temple and it be holy? It's already polluted. How they going? And then they say they're going to pollute the sanctuary of strength. It's never the sanctuary of strength. If the Ashkenazi Jews build it, as soon as they build one stone, it's already polluted. So you gonna pollute a sanctuary that's already polluted? Not gonna happen. It just don't make sense. The sanctuary of strength was in a time that the Levites and everything was in accordance with the law and statutes and commandments. When the Levites can trace their lineage back to Eleazar, the high priest, that's a sanctuary of strength then. It's already been polluted and cleansed and everything too. See, we trying to learn the time we in. All that stuff he wrote, a lot of that stuff he already, if we're in the end time, how we still waiting on a lot of stuff to happen? There's not that much left to fulfill. A lot of that stuff he told us in Daniel 8, Daniel 9, Daniel 10, that stuff is fulfilled already. History can prove it out. The time we in, Jacob's trouble, the great tribulation, is not a literal 3.5 years. You in the midst of it right now. It started once he destroyed Jerusalem, once he kicked you out of your land, once he destroyed your sanctuary. And now what comes with that is all these curses that I told you about in Moses. All of these plagues, all of this trouble that's going to follow you and pursue you and overtake you. And it's going to stay on you for a long time until I come back. Because I'm going to show you. Man, how long is this stuff going to last? Let's skip down to verse 29. So verse 21 said, for there shall be great tribulation such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. Now I'm here to tell you, that's from the destruction of Jerusalem until Christ returns, not 3.5 literal years, right? So what's going to happen is, after that, look where we at. Verse 29. Go ahead.
Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from the heaven, and the powers of the heaven shall be shaken.
So after the tribulation, this stuff is going to take place. Go ahead.
And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven.
And what's going to happen?
And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn.
For what?
And they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory.
With power and great glory. So, immediately, that's the destruction. This is the tribulation period of 3.5 years, the 42 months, the 1260 days. Right after that, then he said you will see the sign of the Son of Man coming. The moon not giving her light. Not no literal 3.5 years in 2020 or whatever the case might be. I'm just making that date up, but I'm saying it's not going to be no literal 3.5 years because we're looking for something that we already in. We just didn't know we was in this time period because we messed up the prophecy. Once you mess one up, it's like a domino effect. So you apply something that was strictly for Israel to the whole world. That's how it got off. Then, after the tribulation, you'll see that sign of the Son of Man coming, right? And look why they was asking him, the apostles was asking when these things going to happen, right? Verse 34. Go ahead.
Verily I say unto you,
what you say?
This generation.
He talking to the generation that he's in. He talking to his apostles, his students, his disciples. Because they would ask the question, when is this stuff going to take place? Now he's telling them, truly I say unto you, this generation
shall not pass.
That one that they was in shall not pass
till all these things be fulfilled.
Talking about the destruction of Jerusalem. It's all going together. So basically, you're going to see it. This is going to happen in your time. That's why you got to preach this gospel and get it out. Because once you finish getting this gospel out, destruction is coming. And I'm going to tell you the truth, your generation ain't going to pass all this stuff happening. So he kind of was dating. Right? Once that generation, that 70 AD, destruction came. That's what we was reading, the Colossians. Paul wrote that in about 58 to 62 AD. So the destruction hadn't happened yet. So we're still in the midst of that generation. Once they got it all the way out, 70 AD, destruction came. Which makes this verse 34 the truth. That generation saw it. What else he say?
35. Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my words shall not pass away.
That's right. Let's go back to Luke 21. We'll close it out. See how he summed it up. Verse 20 again. And we'll close it out. Go ahead.
And when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh. Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains, and let them which are in the midst of it depart out. And let not them that are in the countries enter thereinto.
Yes.
For these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled.
All things are written about the destruction of Jerusalem may be fulfilled. Right? Because verse 32 says, go ahead, 32.
Verily I say unto you, this generation shall not pass away till all be fulfilled.
You're going to see it. Go back to 23. Go ahead.
But woe to them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days.
Mm-hmm.
For there shall be great distress in the land, and wrath upon this people.
You see, the wrath was on that people. Come on.
And they shall fall by the edge of the sword.
This is what Ezekiel said. They shall fall by the edge of the sword.
And shall be led away captive into all nations.
This is exactly what Ezekiel was talking about. They shall be led away captive into all nations. And then in Matthew it said, and then it's going to be a time of trouble. He says, then great tribulation, such as never was since the world was created. This is when it's going to start. Go ahead.
And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles, until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled.
That's right. We still in the days of the times of the Gentiles. Just like we still in the days of Jacob's trouble. We still in that time. 42 months ain't fulfilled. The time of the Gentiles ain't fulfilled. Jacob's trouble runs concurrent with that. Great tribulation upon Jacob. Same time period. It started at the destruction of Jerusalem, and it's going to last until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled. How you going to know it's fulfilled? Go ahead and read.
And there shall be signs in the sun, and in the moon, and in the stars.
Because remember Matthew said immediately after the tribulation of those days. It's the same thing. Then you're going to see the sign. Go ahead, what we reading about now.
And upon the earth distress of nations, with perplexity, and the sea and the waves roaring. You going?
Yep.
Men's hearts failing them for fear, and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth.
Yes.
For the powers of heaven shall be shaken.
That's right.
And then shall they see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory.
See, that's good if we use Deuteronomy 6:28, because he said no man gonna buy you out of this condition. Meaning he gonna be the one that have to deliver you. So this one back doing it by saying once you see all this stuff start taking place, then you shall see the sign of the Son of Man coming what?
And with power and great glory.
Power and great glory. Go ahead.
And when these things begin to come to pass, then look up and lift up your heads.
For what?
For your redemption draweth nigh.
Now you know your redemption draweth near. So Jesus, he answered the first question first. We've just been jumping out straight at verse 4. Explaining 70 AD, explaining prophecy, explaining 70 AD. So that means we skipped. Because we took it straight from 70 AD to the time of the end in one watch. But that's not how it goes, because we apply verses that's dealing with the destruction of the Jerusalem to beyond 70 AD. That's not how it goes. He answered the questions in order. Like I said, the first question is so important that Matthew that Mark and Luke didn't even record the next question. That's how important the first question was. So you can see in Mark and Luke, the things that we thought we were talking about the end of the world was going towards the end of Jerusalem. Because those are the questions he addressed in Mark and Luke. And we see Matthew 24 is the same account. That's why I wanted to tie them together, because I don't want nobody trying to escape, saying, no, this ain't talking about that. No, he jumping back and forth. No, he ain't jumping back to nothing. He's explaining this in order. Right? See, I don't have no doctrine. I don't have to defend no doctrine. You got to read the scriptures in context. If you got a doctrine, most likely, most men protect their doctrine with everything they got. Even once they learn better, they still gonna, if their doctrine done shot out to enough people, they ain't gonna change that. It's very seldom you're gonna find a humble man like that. You come back and admit, oh man, I just made that mistake. That ain't how it goes. Because you got a whole lot of people trying to teach that. But it's easier to point the finger and say, all right, brother, you wrong, you off, you misunderstanding. I'm reading this thing in the context. I understand. I go out in the history, I see. It's not, them chapters in Daniel talking about the abomination of desolation, not talking about the Pope. Nothing to do with it. So I would have confused you too much, I know I probably did. We'll go over. First lesson of many. So I hope you got some understanding. In Jesus' name, I thank you for your time. Amen. We shooting at the doctrine. That's how you take down an elephant. And take down an elephant one bite at a time. That's how you gotta attack the thing. I know it's all. I'll be a fool to keep teaching that. I don't keep teaching something I know wrong. Let's stop.